Hi everybody, this is Caroline Sotheby and welcome to Up, Down and Around Town. Hope you had a nice 4th and sort of like getting into the summer season. We never know if we're going to start playing sports, but the little bird came out and said there might be a possibility of one. So that's something to look forward to. Right now, I love to go to our guests. Mayor Pro Tem Robert DeSena. Robert A. DeSena. Okay. Hey, I'm glad you had a chance to come here. You've been helping us out with your telephone calls and giving us messages. It's a little different now to be sitting here, so I appreciate you coming. You said something though. You did follow up with DDA, because last time we had the interview with Joe Gruber, and he gave us some information. But like everything else, news keeps on creeping up every day. And what's the latest now?
Well, I can share that with you. What I believe Joe did was told you how the grant program works. Mm-hmm. And what I've done here is I've got some numbers and statistics and things that made people qualify, allowed businesses to qualify for the grants.
Okay.
And what they did was they broke it into two groups. First of all, there's $2,000 grants and then a $3,000 grant. And the ones, there's 12 businesses that qualify for a combination of the two. And the first group that would qualify for $3,000 plus the $2,000 is called the Pillar group. And that was based on the number of employees. So any business downtown within the DDA that has 25 or more employees, they qualified under the Pillar group, and it allows them to get $3,000 for that, additional $3,000. The other is the Legacy group, and those are the businesses that have been in Wyandotte for 25 plus years. And I'll back up to the Pillar group. There were 4, and there's your restaurants and bars, you could say. Bobcat Bonnie's, R.P. McMurphy's, Captain's of Whiskey's. They all employ more than 25 employees. Mm-hmm. The Legacy group, there's quite a list here. It's kind of interesting. I don't have all of the businesses' years that they've been in business in Wyandotte. Up, down, up and down. They've been here for a long, long time. I don't have the number of years there. Chelsea's has been here 77 years. Milken's Jewelry Store has been here 115 years. River's Edge 40. Teaser's 31. Willow Tree 52. R.P. McMurphy's 41 years. Stroh's 29. Frank's Pizzeria 67, and White Furniture 74. So to me, that's awesome that they've been here this long, and hopefully they're here many, many years to come. So the idea of this program was to help these businesses get through the COVID-19 that they were shut down for 3 months, plus they're losing the street fair.
That's true.
And so they've got bills that are mounting and that need to be paid, and so the DDA is trying to help out. We're waiting. We wanted to issue the checks as soon as possible because some of these stories that you read are pretty heartbreaking, actually. Yeah. And but we have to wait for a legal opinion to come from Miller Canfield Law Firm to see if we can, the DDA can give that money out. And it's all about retention. It's about retaining those businesses, keep them here, retaining jobs. There were 54 applicants, and out of the 54 applicants, there were a total of 519 jobs involved here that we're trying to retain. What I'd like to do is just give a special kudos to Stroh's Ice Cream and Merrill Lynch, who qualify for a grant, but they said, please take our money and share it with the rest of them.
Okay.
So I think that's a very kind gesture on their part.
I think some of them actually made this go, even if it meant restrictions, face masks, distancing. I mean, Stroh's is always busy.
Right.
You go out and you got to make sure you got your 6-foot distance little spot outside, and they've worked it up pretty well. I mean, the girls go in and out, or I should say, girls and guys, take the order, and go take care of the group as they can. So they made out very well, which is, I mean, considering that at this time how
Right.
people were trying to make it.
Yeah, I don't know if they were open the whole 3 months, but
Yeah.
were they? Okay. Well, anyway, kudos to them that,
Yeah.
that they're elected not to take the grant to distribute their share among the rest of them.
That's
so,
good. That's,
and
yeah.
the same thing with Merrill Lynch.
Uh-huh.
And how the DDA funding is, it's kind of like the TIFA districts. The DDA pays their taxes the same amount as far as the rest of the TIFA districts, not any more, not any less. But when the city established those districts in the late 1980s, the SEV was froze within the DDA. So as your state equalized value goes up on your property, the increase in the taxes is allowed to stay in the DDA, and they can spend it on whatever they want.
Oh, really?
Right, but we're
Okay.
trying to get clarification if these grants, they can spend it on that as well. But anyway, it's just, I want to make it clear that there's just not this fund of money that you can just give out, because the people in the rest of the city are going to think, well, why can't we do that? Well, this is money that they were able to keep within their district
Okay.
and spend on different projects and improvements within the district.
Oh, when you get a grant, it takes a lot of doing. It takes a person that's knowledgeable what that grant is supposed to be for and concentrate on the benefit of saying, hey, send it our way. Do we have any special grant person there, or the departments take care of their own?
Well, the different departments apply for their own grants. In this case here, Joe Gruber's office and I think the engineer might be involved in the selection committee, but the businesses had to fill out an application to apply for the grant. And I believe it was probably modeled after MEDC, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, because they had a program that was a $50,000 match, and that's how this started.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we didn't qualify. And I think maybe because of a thriving downtown and businesses that have so many employees and been here so long, we didn't qualify for it. So the DDA took it upon themselves to try to still have this program with their own funds to match what the MEDC was going to grant, as well as the city's match.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
So
anyway,
it's a grant actually from our own DDA department then?
it's from their taxes that they pay.
Okay, all right. So why do we have to go to the lawyers to find out, to make sure that we can do what we wanted to do?
Just because of the fact that you're giving money back versus the money that they have in their, let's say in their account. It specifies for different projects, for improvements. You see,
Oh.
for example, like the credit union on Third and Oak, there's a grant being applied there, much larger than these. First and Maple, the old bank building, the old post office.
Right.
It's for improvements within the DDA. Same with the TIF districts outside. That can be used for roads and sewers and water mains and things like that. So it's money that's got to be spent within their district.
Okay.
And it's money that they've paid in to that.
Yep, and you're learning an awful lot on that too, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I'm learning more, but I was on city council between 1985 and 91 when the TIFA districts were established. So
You have the
I
background.
have an idea how it works, and over
Yeah.
the years I watched the Monday night council meetings. I kind of knew what was going on, but yeah, I learn more now, believe me.
Well, for
So-
some people maybe don't realize you're like a stepping stone, so to speak, between the council and the mayor, because you're not advancing and becoming the mayor, since our mayor did pass away. You're still staying at the council level, but overlooking Joe's position where he was before as the mayor.
I'm carrying out the duties of the mayor.
Yeah.
Like if contracts or something like that needs to be signed, that I'll show up here at City Hall and sign whatever I have to sign, and just whatever duties of the mayor's I'm learning, and that's what I'm doing. As well as being a councilman, just like the rest of the other 5 members of the council.
Well, it's different though. Being a council person, you actually just more or less look at the agenda. You might get feedback from people around the town saying, hey, how come you don't do this?
Well,
or how come this isn't coming, right?
I do get those calls.
That's true.
I do get those calls of neighbors complaining about another neighbor's weeds, grass, fence, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm retired now, so I can take the time to do that. Anyway, but it's fine. Everybody, the department heads have been great to work with. My colleagues have been great to work with. So, we've got 10 months to go.
And you came in a position when we had this COVID-19, and it's like, well, there was restrictions not only from the governor, but nationwide, and so you had to take that into consideration too, and even bringing people back into the city hall, and that took a little doing there too.
Well, we shut down in March, middle of March. I don't remember the exact date. We just had our first live council meeting here in the council chambers last Monday. I think the 13th might have been the date. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
anyway, so we were doing the virtual meetings by telephone. And we didn't have those for probably a month and a half.
Right, right.
And that was different. It was different. I have to give a lot of credit to David Fuller, who's our technology guy and organized that, was behind the scenes doing a lot of work. But I'm glad we're back, and hopefully we stay back.
Yeah.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Well, you had it organized in the council chambers too, where all your council people were roughly around the horn, or whatever we call it now.
Horseshoe.
Horseshoe. Okay.
That's what people refer to it as, the horseshoe.
Why not? And then, of course, the other guys had their own names in front of themselves at the table. So you had enough room there. If you had a big crowd coming in to view or make comments, you might have had to have them out in the lobby. But
Well, out in the lobby, or have to wait outside until somebody leaves if it was that many. But
yeah,
fortunately, we didn't have a full house.
yeah,
So it worked out good.
okay.
It worked
And
out
at
good.
least you guys were back.
Yep. Yeah.
That virtual thing just drove me out of my mind.
Well, it was hard. It was really hard sitting at home and not knowing. You're supposed to hit, I think it was *9 to raise your hand to talk. And I don't think we did that. We didn't really run into a problem talking over each other. It happened a few times. But it was challenging.
Oh,
Put it that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
It was challenging.
I made comments to a couple people because you're sitting at home and you're listening, and somebody's starting to talk, and the other one's trying to override and say, oh, can you hear me? And it was because you weren't aware.
Right.
When you're seeing each other, you know that person's ready to talk. Okay, I'll keep quiet.
Because you had no idea of at home who would raise their hand to want to talk. So what I did was the last virtual meeting that we had, I snuck in here with Larry Steck, the clerk, and watched his monitor and
Okay.
could tell when somebody was raising their hand to talk and somebody from the public who wanted to talk as well. So that was easier versus being at home, but I'm not technically savvy enough to be able to do that at my house. I'll be the first to admit it, and everybody knows that. So anyway,
It
worked
was
out
an
well.
experience. I
Yeah.
mean, it's something you guys went through. If you have to go through it again, you're more conscious of what you should think about or look
Right.
through. Yeah.
Oh yeah. In fact, I there were commissioners that hadn't been reappointed. And so seeing that they needed to be reappointed, I was calling a couple of different commissions, calling into their meeting just to thank them for serving and ask whatever commissioner who was up for reappointment if they wanted to continue to serve.
Yeah.
So I was kind of getting used to the virtual meetings because I think it was municipal service, recreation.
And that's
Maybe
something
planning.
can I make a comment about? I know it's good to have your consent agenda, but to the people at home, when you're mentioning the commission, we had no idea who was actually going to be appointed to the commissions, and you had several of them.
Well, there
at
were a
time.
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
There were a lot. Yeah, so there was there were a bunch back from December, April, May, and then June again. I got to tell a story about one of them. There's a commissioner, he's on one of the building commissioners, I don't want to say his name, but I called him to see if he wanted to be reappointed. Excuse me. And I said, I can barely hear you. It sounds like you're way off in the distance. He goes, I'm in Italy.
Really?
I've been quarantined here. I can't get out. And that was, I think, in May. And he had been there since March
Really?
because they were hit really bad in
Yeah.
Italy. And he said, I'm hoping to get out of here in 2 or 3 weeks. So I don't know if he's back or not, but
But he's on the commission.
he was one of the commissioners. I'm calling him here in Wyandotte, and I'm calling Italy. So I thought it was kind of neat, actually.
You can put down your little notes and have a storybook after all this is done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I could write a book. So anyway, one other thing I wanted to bring up was Sunday, one of our ambulances was involved in an accident at Fort and Northline, and nobody was hurt. It wasn't our driver's fault. So the reason I'm saying this, if the public sees a Trenton ambulance rescue going around town, they've let us borrow theirs until ours gets fixed or replaced. So
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, very nice. So they had an extra ambulance.
Okay.
In fact, I saw it on my way here. It was coming on 12th and
Oh, really?
turning on Cedar, heading back to the fire station on 10th Street.
So how long will that be?
I have
in
no
the-
idea. I don't know anything about it.
You don't, you're just making sure everybody's,
Aware of why the city of Trenton's rescues in Wyandotte. That's my point.
okay,
So I have no other details.
okay.
So
So every day you get more information and you come down here or does Julie usually call you? Let you know?
both.
Both?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to come in once a day, and I'll let her know what time I'll be here. I'll let Todd know, or the engineer. I'm into pickleball, so I play that 7 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so it kind of evolves around that. But anyway, I typically try to get in here once a day and
Yeah.
see what's
You
going
said
on.
you're retired now, so you have time.
That's right.
Hey, it's a good thing though.
Yeah.
It'll keep you going. Gives you something to do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, I get it. Well, I saw you over the weekend, well, Saturday the 4th. For some people that didn't realize it, the veterans did ask to at least walk down Biddle Avenue from the monument area. And that was early Saturday morning. They came from 217 around the monuments because, hey, like Aaron Bartel usually say, freedom is not free.
That's right.
And we have to think about on July 4th these people that gave their lives or even, well, maybe they served. See, there's the other group coming out. They were just getting ready. So they didn't have a band or anything, but they had their honor guard. And
Yeah, there's a saying when you mentioned that freedom's not free. There's a saying for the veterans that all gave some gave all.
yeah,
And that just hits me right in the heart. So,
Yeah.
Boy.
and there's Mr. Mileski. He's been there 1136, he and his wife for many years. And-
There's Debbie Dingle, and I walked with her and I and Chris Kelvin, but Debbie Dingle was there. Her husband John just loved the 4th of July parade
yeah.
in Wyandotte and loves Wyandotte, and so she's showing the same passion and carrying on the tradition, really.
Yeah. So that was in the early morning when they were getting ready to come. Rich got this segment then from Van Elstein as they were coming back from
On Oak
Middle
Street.
Avenue
Yep.
to Post 217.
Yep.
So it was nice that at least they had a police escort and came down. That was they didn't actually take too long. They were high stepping it, you know.
I could tell in the heat that we were moving along, although we're lagging behind here. But yeah, we're moving at a decent pace, and it was really warm.
Yeah. So it was
But
nice.
it was an honor to be part of the veterans and their little organized small parade in honor of all the years of them. The parade's been built around the veterans, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, like I told you, I read in Proudly We Record that many years ago, 4th of July was the thing in here. Even when they had dusty roads, they always had some type of parade and ice cream from Millhouse and all this stuff.
Yeah, Fuller's
and
Johnson's.
Arvita Hall was the main group at that time. And when they sold it to the VFW, VFW took it over, and that was tradition. And then eventually the Recreation Department got involved with them, and it's the parade that we normally see when we don't have pandemic and cancel.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was the case this year. So.
Some of these people, though, were from, 1136, 217, Purple Heart, the Riders. You can tell which ones have their jackets on.
Vietnam veterans, I think, might have been there.
Right. So it's nice to see something, and I think they felt great that we could give some attention for the day, for July 4th, because that's our Independence Day.
Yep, I
So
agree.
it wasn't that big of a parade, but was something. It was better than nothing at that point. So,
Right.
and after that, a lot of them either went to barbecues or went home. There was one thing, though, that I had to mention. I wasn't aware that there was another little monument where people sit, and it was for the armed forces of the Wyandotte, and so we got a little clip of that we'll be showing eventually too. So as we go with, when we were on the road, we went through a lot of these places and found out things. This corner, oh, this one has this, and oh, that has that. Rich was a new camera person, and he found out a lot of corners in the city of Wyandotte.
Is that right? Okay.
And you got a chance to meet him too, so that helped out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm glad that's over. You had said something about Tom was saying something that the kids are starting football practice.
The fall sports were started, well, I don't know when they started, but today there were 200 kids over there doing conditioning.
Really? Yeah.
Yep, and then the tennis team was going to go tonight at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So were there hopes that they'll have a season this fall?
Well, you never know, and at least the coaches will feel better. Just to have the kids out there and start getting ready and.
Well, the coaches, the players, the parents, the community.
Yeah.
There's so many people involved that it affects. And
Right.
It's all positive.
I got to give them credit, though, for actually putting on a graduation. They went through the process of, first of all, they got their, togas and the caps and gown and all this stuff. Then, of course, they had their special day where they were able to get their own academic awards. Everybody had their own package. And then finally, the graduation, which was outside. It didn't rain. but it was windy.
Yeah, was it?
But they had, at least they had
So were the
that
caps
done.
blown off?
Yeah, and yeah, they're getting it back and stuff like that. So it was good. I don't know how many other cities had it like we did. I think they went like to Holmes or something and passed out awards to their seniors, but at least we were able to do that. And you got to give them credit for going through all this. And I mean, because they went to the council meeting wanting to get also Yak Arena, and you guys approved it.
Well, yeah, every year they've had their graduation at Yak Arena.
Yeah, yeah.
Because of the unknown of the weather. And then this year, the city agreed to rent it to them, to the school district, and they were going to practice social distancing and allow 50 in at a time. I believe that was the number. And they were allowed one parent in there to take a picture when they were getting their diploma. And that didn't pan out, that plan, and they went on and pursued something else. So,
hey, it was done, and people were out in the parking lot tooting.
yeah. Yeah, the senior class this year of all the high schools just kind of got shortchanged on a lot of things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Well,
it's unfortunate.
I think we've learned a lesson, too, in the city, how to make use of your time. I think more families got together. I see an awful lot of people walking their dogs down the streets.
Oh, boy, for sure.
And the bicycle sales must have gone up because you're seeing them all the time, too. Yeah. Did you change your lifestyle an awful lot?
Yeah. What I've really been watching a lot of is the Game Show Network. I typically watch sporting events.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
my thing. And so anyway, I've been watching a lot of the Game Show Network. So stayed in a lot. We started on a crossword puzzle.
Uh-huh.
And that was it.
That was it.
It's kind of the extent of it.
I used to watch 35, Channel 35, to see like Verlander play again, and some of the 68 team and
Yeah, I did.
and that. So
I did some of that.
at
too,
least we
yeah.
had a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But
Reminisce on all the good wins
yeah.
instead of the live agony of the loss, maybe. But anyway, everybody adjusted. It was tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, we get to this point where we accept life for what it is. We're lucky that we still don't have the virus, and keep our fingers crossed it doesn't spike again.
Right. That's right.
Right. So thanks, Rob. I appreciate
Thank you for
coming.
having me, and
We'll keep in touch.
thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Hey, take care, and we'll see you next time on Up, Down, and Around Town. Bye-bye now.